All right. Welcome to Segments Formed by Tangents and Secants Level 1. Now, in this very first example, this is going to more closely resemble Problem 6, but I wanted to write out the word problem first so we could save a little time on the video. So let's get started. So example 1 says this, a tangent CD, so that's very important. Let's go ahead and underline that word tangent, and a secant CBE meet at point C. This actually gives us enough information to draw our picture. So whenever we're talking about tangents and secants, of course, we're referring to circles. So let me go ahead and draw myself a circle. And we know that they both meet at point C. Now they're always going to meet outside the circle, so I can put point C right there. And then we want to look at these wordings specifically. So when I see a tangent CD, well, let's see, here's C. I know a tangent only touches a circle in one point, so I can put point D right there. And I can draw my line so that it looks just like that. I can extend the line, but just know that we're really talking about that segment right there. Now next, I look at secant, CBE, and what we know about a secant is it touches the circle in 2 points. So that will be point B and point E. So I can draw it as such, putting my point there, so let's see, it goes C, B, E, so I'll put a B, and I'll put an E right there. Now, remember this line could keep extending, but we're really only talking about these segments. Okay, now it says they meet at point C. If CD, so we see this straight line indicates a line segment. CD is 4.8 inches. So let's see, so I go to CD, which is right here. We'll write 4.8. And we know that CBE, so let's see, when we're talking about CBE, we're really talking about, let me change colors here. We're really talking about the whole line. And we're going to say that the whole line is going to be 12 inches. And we're trying to find CB. So we look right here, and this is what we're really trying to find. And let's go put an X right there. Okay, so this brings us to our equation. Alright, so let's see, our equation should look something like this. We look at our formula chart. We know it will always be the tangent segment squared, so that CD squared is equal to. And when you look at your formula chart, you should see that it's always going to be the piece, which will be CB, what we're trying to find, times the whole line, which we know right there is going to be CBE. Well, now that we've written out this statement, let's go ahead and fill in the things that we know. We know that CD is 4.8, so I'll go ahead and write 4.8. And remember, that whole thing has to be squared, because we're always squaring our tangent, times CB, we don't know that, that's X, times, and then CBE, our whole line, is going to be 12. Now here's where I would suggest going to your calculator, and we'll go ahead and do, okay, what is 4.8 squared, or aka 4.8 times 4.8? And that'll give us 23.04 equals, we know x times 12 is really just another way of saying 12x. And now, in order to get rid of the number in front of x, we know that we always have to, divide, and we'll divide both sides by 12. So going back to our calculator, 23.04 divided by 12 is, we know that x will equal 1.92. So we come back over here, and we know that that line segment CB is equal to 1.92. And in this case, our unit is going to be inches. Alright, go ahead, pause the video if you still need to finish writing down your notes. But I'm going to go ahead and clear this and move on to our second example. Okay. So, for example 2, and this is where we can kind of shorthand it. This will look more closely like examples 1 and 2 on your paper. Let's see. We want to find CE, okay, when, and then they're going to give us CB equals 14. Well, that's going to be for your example. So for this one, let's just go ahead and say CB is 12. Okay. Then you're going to be given a picture something like this. We know we have our circle. We have our point outside, which is going to be C. And it looks like our tangent line is going to be on top, so it only touches in one point right there. So that's going to be E. And then we have this other line here that comes across. And let's use some different letters. Let's see, they're putting an X right there. And we have an E right there. And, oh, my apologies, that should be a D. Let me change that. So we have CD on top. And then on the bottom we have CE all the way to point B. Okay. And let's see, let's give us a number right here. Let's say that this is 6 centimeters. And then we go back to our problem. It says CB is 12. Now, how would you describe CB? Would you describe CB as a piece or a whole? So I look at that and I see CB goes from here to there. And so it looks like CB is going to be the whole thing. All right. Okay. So how do we want to tackle this problem? Well, we can look at our formula chart, and we know that right here we have a tangent because it touches the circle in 1 point. We know that here we have a secant because it touches the circle in 2 points. And what's our rule? Well, we always take our tangent and we square that. So I'll write my statement, CD, which will be squared, equals, and then we know for our secant, it's always going to be the piece times the whole. And so my piece is X times, and in this case, the whole is 12. And now we just want to go ahead and fill in our information. So we know that CD was 6, so I'll write 6 squared equals, and let's see, we have X times 12, which is really just another way of saying 12X. And then you got to ask yourself, well, what is 6 squared? That's going to be 36 equals 12X. Now, how can we get rid of that number in front of the X? What do you think we should do? Yeah, absolutely. We should divide by 12 on both sides. And 36 divided by 12, we should know that one, pretty familiar. That's going to be 3. So in this problem, we're asking, what is the measure of CE? I go back here to CE. CE is simply X. We know that CE is just going to equal 3. All right, I hope this helps, and good luck. I'll see you guys on level 2.